Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope everyone has had a good day so far. I know it's really early in the morning. I decided to get the stream done a little earlier, and I'm on Fallout doing some hunting for the Spooky Scorch. I'm just gonna join a team. Um, I want one that is gonna be like mm, more like beneficial. I'm gonna get rid of some legendaries. Get rid of some legendaries that I picked up. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but that one I think I was gonna scrap to see if I can get the not the medics, but the explosive perk. These I'm gonna go ahead and just all put in there. There's nothing that I needed. It was funny. I haven't had any luck with the mods, like learning the plans or getting mods from scrapping anything. But yesterday I scrapped a piece of armor and it was a zealots. There's a second perk on there that was like, oh, that's the kind of one I want. That it would be helpful, if I wanted to build a piece of armor. And lo and behold, that the thing that dropped was the zealots. So I was like, oh, my luck, just my luck. And throat issues again. Just having some. I think it's with all the weather. The fluctuations have been crazy. It's been like a roller coaster, but like a really wonky up and down roller coaster. Just like you go up and down like constantly. So it was like it got into the 80s and then it dropped down, and then it got back up into the 70s and 80s and then back down. And it dropped considerably. I think yesterday it was like 50 something for the high, and then today it's like 40, 46, I think it's 40 something. It's like 29 degrees out there right now. So, I didn't get anything. um, yeah, wasn't too happy about that. I do need to still mod um, that gauntlet that I got, and I gotta get rid of all these, grenades, so let's go ahead and sell them to Wallace here. You get these from the Spooky, Scorch packs, except for the Nuka grenades, but everything else. Um, I usually do that when I do double up when we do our like double XP runs, but I haven't really been playing Fallout. I think I had just gotten on um Fallout when the Spookies had started, so I think that's all that I needed to sell. Let's see if there's any oud that I am like really carrying too much of. Um, I like to carry the. I might keep that. No, I'll go and get rid of it. I like to carry like the buff out in case I get like a little over cucumbered, and I can just pop that and it'll give me like a buff of +3 to strength, and that'll increase my carry weight up a bit. So, and then these of course I don't need. And then full right away, I don't need. I think that's pretty it. I'll go ahead and just sell one of the serums that I've got. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just get rid of one of the serums and then get rid of some of the sim packs. That's perfect. Oh, I can see what mods he's got. Most of the mods I've got are not even on my person. They're with a friend's account. So, don't know if I'll ever even get those back. Um, just not playing Fallout too much. I should really like get an inventory and maybe just start handing it out. Yeah, right here. It's a mod. I might just drop it's zealots. Like nobody wants zealot stuff, and that I don't need. Tesla rifle automatic barrel. I think I can buy that. And these here I'll just drop. Just honestly don't need it. I will take that though. Alright. That should get us prepared for some spooky scorch hunting. Got all my inventory. Yeah, I should be okay. I really don't need to have anybody on the team with me. And I've got plenty of those. I'm not going to pick it up. We'll see if there's any here. I think the server is pretty dead, so maybe we'll get lucky with some. Get lucky with a couple of spookies like right off the bat, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I hear like a trash can, a basket. Must be upstairs. Because I don't. Oh, an undamaged. I usually like use things like this to decorate it, but my clamps are not. Hi. Yeah, they are just. They were just like freaking out in this corner. Those two baskets, and that one just like, nothing's going on. That was too funny. Alright, and I can loot now because they give us the, that was because of the bullets. They give us the free trial of Fallout First, so I can use the scrap box, the tents, and the ammo box. So at least for now I can store junk, and then after it's over, I'm pretty sure that spookies will be done, because Tuesday, I hear one. Tuesday is the end of the holiday scorch, so there's one. Oh! That is not fair at all. That is not fair at all. Just a chainsaw. I didn't even get a Halloween thing. No. No holiday treat bag or anything. Who is shooting at me? Oh. Inside the building. There. I'm gonna try and do a search for all. No. Oh, that is just not fair. Alright, let's go search over here and see what we got. That was so disappointing. And that does glitch, not only with the spookies, but like with any of the holiday ones, that could happen. it's the same with the mole miners. And if you're not familiar, we have like it's called treasure hunters. So it's like mole miners that will um, carry like pails, and they have like a beeping sound. They have bigger like backpacks on their back with junk. The treasure hunter. Um, and they carry pails. You can get just like the dusty pail, which is like the smallest, more. You don't get as quite as much. I do know that the loot pile has been increased. I think for those, because there were times where I would get like a dusty pail and I would get plans out of them where before it was like very minimal. So I think they did upgrade those, but you get like the dusty pail, the regular pail, and then the ornate pails. The ornate pails supposedly would give you the better loot, but not always. It wasn't a guarantee that you would get. Um, I saw shiny. Yeah, there's like stuff right here. I don't need any Ubu rounds. And with the mole miner and the holiday scorch, you don't have to necessarily hunt them. You can buy the the wrapping paper for the presents, and then buy the pails for the. Yeah, there's no scorch here. I think someone came here already because I'm not seeing anything. We'll go to the next area here. But yeah, you could buy the presents and the pails and just build your own. And you could get the like I would say that I get the better rewards when I like just crafted my own. I'm just gonna get comfortable here. It is cold, and I got the window in the mudroom open just to kind of like it's chilly air, but it's like cool, crisp air, so it's just like really refreshing. And I like that like the inside to be cold, and then that way I can just like snuggle up, but not too cold. It is going to be like 46 today, so that's not going to be terrible. But as soon as it starts getting like really cold with the highs in like the 30s, then that window gets shut when the heat kicks on because it starts getting like freezing at night. And we have a pretty heavy duty comforter, but oh, oh, um, this is new. This is new. Oh, they're not scorched because I'm gonna just do is run. I don't need to be attacked by a Mylar King. Nor do I need to engage with them. It's somebody's workshop, so here's a spooky. Let's see if we get anything off of him. And a ghoul apparently wanted to get in on it. Alright, so this one I did get like candy and stuff. And a spooky. It pains me because I used to be able to do like one shot, even at the level 100s. And now it's just, it's not the case anymore. They've really nerfed the weapons. I don't hear any more spookies, so just go up here and fast travel to the next. Take this off. I don't want to do that. We'll go to the Palace of Winding Path. I think would be a good one because there was just somebody here, and that's like the reason why I activated this camp. Um, And I really shouldn't have a camp with shops open, but I don't have anything too good. I haven't restocked my shelves, so to speak. So we shall see. I might actually run upstairs and close that window. Mm, nothing like a hot cup of coffee on a cold, chilly day. Ooh, when I lived in Idaho, the house had uh, a really nice front deck. It was we never used the front entrance of the house because it was to the yard. So we used that just when I did celebrate Halloween at that time, and we would just do these elaborate um, like designs. We had a big garden. We lived on a little over an acre, or about an acre, and so we had the garden in the back, and we would take the corn stalks, and so we would harvest the corn stalks when we were done with the corn, and we would stick those into the ground. We'd make like a cornfield, and we had these like machines that I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of him. We had the machines that if you either could, like, if you walked by, so they could be triggered by motion, or you could just set them on a timer. And so we'd have them on a timer, and we'd hide it in like the shadows so you couldn't see. And then we had like, I got this cheap little fog machine. It didn't really work too good. But we would get like the spider webs, and I just had a whole lot of decorations. So we would decorate the house, and that's where we'd have the trick or treaters come up. And then the rest of the house we'd leave like really black. So we lived on a dead end street, and we didn't have any power poles up towards our driveway. We had a really long driveway, and the last power pole that we had was down by our mailbox, which at the very end. So when you leave that point, it just starts getting darker and darker. So when you go up our that driveway, it's like it's pitch black if we don't have uh, the light on to either side of the house. So we would turn the light off on the side yard, because that's where the second entrance of the house is. That's where we use as our main entrance, because that's where we like pull up. The driveway goes up and around. So why not? So we would use that, and the front, quote unquote, front yard we used as our quote unquote back, because that's where the deck was. So what we'd usually do, and I bred labs at the time, so what we did was actually we built a gate. So if most of the time it wasn't being used, so we would just use it to sit on, um, and um, and then when we had a litter of puppies, that would be their first introduction to outside, because it was something that we can keep away from other animals, because we lived out in the boondocks, so we did have wild animals that would come on our property. I mean, we had a cougar come in, and it did some hunting and left a cor- uh, uh, a corpse on our property of an animal it was munching on. So um, that was an interesting one. Our dogs absolutely loved it, because we didn't notice it until our dog comes running back with like entrails just hanging from his shells, and I was like, "What?" And it was a kill, and we saw cougar tracks, so I'm like, okay, two and two together, it was a cougar. And we've had wolves come through, so to keep the puppies safe of any outside, because at that time they were too young for their first shot. So we would just let them on our deck, and we'd put like if we'd have like a winter, like our fall litter, if it was cold, we'd put like we had rugs that we could take out and have the rugs there, so it'd keep their little paws from getting too cold from the wood surface. And um we just let them out there, and if we had puppy visitations, we'd have people come through the house and just go sit on the deck, and we leave the door open, so mama dog can come in and out as she pleases. We usually had to keep them separate, because one of our one of our girls was so she was too friendly. And she absolutely loved people, and she thought that she was a puppy herself. You know, when she'd had puppies, she thought she was one of them. I remember it was a family that came over, and they were like looking at their little girl. We had one yellow female from that litter, and that's who they decided to go on. You know, and it was a good fit. Knowing my dogs, I have been around, you know, their moms and their sires, so um, it was an easy way for me to match because I knew the temperaments of my dogs, and I would know that okay, this puppy based on um, it would be a good fit for this family. So they got the little yellow female and named her Willow. But I remember them coming over, and Willow's mama was Hannah, and they came over, and Hannah would not leave them alone. We actually had to block her inside the house with a gate because she just thought that she was a puppy, and she wanted in on all the love and attention. So she kept crawling into their laps and not letting them. Like she would literally like crawl into their lap if you let her. And if you had a puppy, she would just like nudge the puppy out of the way. It was adorable, of course. I do miss Hannah so much. That was um my first. It wasn't my first litter, but it was my first litter after I started to really take things seriously. Um, and it was my first like bred by litter. I didn't. It was my own bloodlines. You know, Hannah was one of the pups that I had bred. So it was a really special litter for me. Um, I do miss those times. I do. I miss being able to complete families with their doggy edition, and I miss some of the people, not all of the people, unfortunately. Like with all sports, you have your people who are undesirable. You know, they're poor sports or they're too competitive and they take things way too seriously when all you're trying to do is do things the right way and have fun. You know, there's so much you could do with your dogs, like dog shows, obedience, agility, hunt tests, and such. And people take the sports to extremes, just like they do, you know, kids sports, you know, with football, like pee wee football, etc., and high school football, middle school, whatever, what have you. And I thought I just killed that guy right there. Oh, and someone must have started another one. But anyway, yeah, they take it way too seriously, and when you get there, and you're wanting to share this love that you have with other people who have the same love, but then you start to see the nasty truth that a lot of people aren't in it because they love it. The only thing that they love is winning. That's all they care about. They just care about the high that they get from a win, no matter, and they'll do anything to get that win. And, and unfortunately, you see that in dog sports as well. You see people who are willing to cheat. You see people who are willing to do anything to win, which also includes putting dogs out there who shouldn't be out there, you know. And what I mean by that is, I remember going to a dog show one year, um, and I had entered my chocolate lab, I believe, in this show. But I only showed him for 2 days. So we went all 4 days to see. And on one of the days that I didn't show, and the only reason I didn't show is because of judges. You have to be very mindful of the judges you show under because, again, not everybody is in the sport because they love and it's a passion. They're in it for that high. So that also means that you have judges who don't pay attention to the dogs, they pay attention to the handler because they're doing favors for people. And there's certain judges that you start to pick up on that, you know, they don't even Like, you're looking at the judge, and he's not paying attention to anybody. He's not paying attention to anybody. He's like, he in his mind, he already knew who he was going to pick. And so you're looking over and you're watching, and you start to get familiar with the ones. So, oh, it was just a notification. Sorry. You learn not to show under those judges because you know that the dogs aren't being chosen, because they're the best representative. The dogs are being chosen based on who owns them or who is handling them. So anyway, it was that kind of a judge, and I remember that one of the dogs that had been placed, he came out of the ring and he was snarling at everybody, snarling at every dog that passed by. He wanted to just go right after them. And if anybody is listening and you're familiar with a Labrador, um, that is just not their characteristics. Labs are really easygoing, and um, they pretty much love everybody. Like, my dogs, I did have a couple that, I did question. There's one female that I never bred. she had, she wasn't aggressive with the dogs, like other dogs, but she liked to be more assertive of herself, and I didn't really like that trait because, like, she would try to dominate every dog that she passed by. Not in an aggressive manner, like she wasn't attacking them, but it was still something that made me uncomfortable. And then I wanted to do hunt tests with her, but she just didn't have. I guess I just didn't like her temperament. I absolutely loved her, but I didn't like her temperament. So I never did end up breeding her. I decided to put that on the back burner because it just wasn't worth it, to me, to bring other dogs who were going to have the same, um, I would say, anxieties as she did, because she got really overwhelmed pretty easily. And I know that she tried to pick a fight with one of my other females at times. So it was just not a win-win for me. So she never did have puppies. And so anyway, that was like uh, an example of dogs being placed and put up when they shouldn't be. The dog should not have been put up because that's not a normal temperature for a Labrador. And you can argue that he was stressed or he was having a bad day, but I'm like, I've had dogs who were stressed and had a bad day, and they've never acted aggressively like that before, you know? Never have. Um, One of my dogs he was overwhelmed, and he just decided he wasn't going to listen, and he wasn't going to participate in the dog show. So he just started to be a goofball, and decided that he was going to scooch his butt on the mat, because the mat is like ridged, and I guess he had an itch that he wanted to scratch. And the judge tried to actually. He went to the stewardess and was like, "Is this something that I can dismiss the dog for?" And she was like, "No, he's not doing anything. He's just, he's not doing any elimination. He's not peeing. He's not pooping. He was just scratching." But the judge didn't even look us over. He didn't even look us over because, you know, Rocky was just being a smart goofball of a dog, and he was just done with it. I didn't blame him. We had been there for a while, and he was just done for the day. So I see dogs react that way. That, yeah, that could be a dog. It's like saying, "Mom, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore," and he's acting like a fool. But acting aggressively was just, um, I couldn't see a Labrador doing that. Not one with a proper, temperament. But that dog was placed. That dog got winners. And he went on to probably earn his championship and sire puppies with poor temperaments because um, of who was handling him or who owned him. So a lot of people in the dog sports, they just weren't very pleasant. And then you had to be very careful with the lineage because There are breeders who are known to have stud dogs finish their championship very early on life, and they would get like preliminaries done, and the preliminaries would look okay, they'd be like fair, or good, but then when they get the finals done a year later, something had shifted because the dog finally done maturing, and everything, like all the growth plates were closed, and it comes back lame. The dog has sired, 25 litters because they did prelims. He finished his championship. He was a year old, and they were okay with breeding him that young. So they decided not. They don't tell you. They don't tell you with the. Well, I've got a couple of spookies here. They don't tell you that. You have to really go and. Oh, I need to hurry. Oh no, where'd he go? Oh, maybe I didn't. I didn't. I thought I got him. I guess I just made him go down on his knees for a little bit. But hey, they're not glitching now, so I'm not gonna complain. So anyway, so they'd have dogs that would be lame and siring all these litters, and they wouldn't tell you if he fails because like, oh, they got prelims, so we'll just use the prelim results. But then these same breeders will chastise anybody who does things the same thing. Like if I were to, let's say I did, and I did get his finals done, and he still passed with excellent hips. So I did breed one of my males on preliminaries. He was a very aloof dog. He just had this bubbliness. He was such a gentle soul, and I wanted to have a litter with one of my females who was getting up there where I was really saying, okay, this was going to be her last litter. I didn't want to wait any longer because it had been already a big time sprain between the times she had a litter and this one. So I didn't want to wait any longer. And I'm like, okay, he's got his prelims done. I'm going to go ahead and do the breeding. Everyone has their clearances, everyone's checked out, and I know that they're healthy. But these breeders, because he wasn't a champion, right? That was the one thing that he lacked. And I never did finish any of my dog's championships because it's just so difficult. It is very difficult to do that when you are nobody. Um, you really have to put a lot of money into it, and it was just a hobby for me. So um, I didn't really take that next step over because I wasn't pursuing this as a business, and I didn't take it as seriously as everybody else did. I wanted to put titles on my dogs, and I did. I did put, my chocolate lab, my stud dog who did, and a couple of my puppies that I bred got titled pretty easily. So I knew that the quality was there, and I never questioned it. I went with my heart and my gut, um, and I did things on a very calculated level because it is a science when you're breeding dogs. It's an art and science, and there's a lot of factors that you have to take into account. So you can't really do it blindly. It's not that simple. I know a lot of people do, and I've just seen um, the result of that, and it's never pretty, and it's always the dogs that suffer. So I always make sure it was something that's very thoughtful. I did make sure that I researched the pedigree. I made sure that there was nothing that was double A up on that could be an issue, such as health. If there was any questions that something could come up that I didn't want, like allergies, I would be very careful at eradicating and making sure the other parent didn't. And even if it was a really good fit, but there was still a potential for an issue, I wasn't going to do that breeding because the cons outweighed the pros. Yes, they would be beautiful dogs, they'd be sweet, but if I double up on this, then what if they have horrendous allergies? Um, and they have to be on medication all their life. Nobody wants to have a dog that they have to worry about taking to the vet, every every couple of months. It's not a good quality of life for the dog. So I was very careful, and I did my due diligence. But if you go to these breeders, and there's not all of them, there's several of them that are actually very welcoming, uh, but they're few and far between. They are few and far between, and I didn't have the pleasure um, of finding any of them that I don't understand what I'm doing here. There we go. He's just like I don't know. I'm gonna ignore him because I could for some reason shoot him through the grate. Uh, so anyway, I did this reading, and it's like I get called out. Like I have this breeder who contacts me, and I think they thought I wouldn't catch on to who they were, but I did, and I answered the questions, and it's just like when you talk back to them, and you're saying, and they're like, "Oh, you shouldn't breed that dog. He's not, he doesn't have his full health clearances yet, because he only has prelims." And I'm like, "Well, okay, does that stop you from breeding this dog, who also has only prelims, who also has fair prelims, mind you?" Um, and then my dog has excellent prelims, so what is the difference? And they can't tell you the difference. Oh, he's got a championship. Who finished a championship? That doesn't mean anything. And in the breeding world, to me, a championship, from what I've seen, didn't mean anything because I've seen dogs in the ring be put up when they shouldn't have been put up. They weren't the best, and there has been accounts of people doing that. They've seen it, and it's like a rigged system that you can't really trust, that they're putting up the best dog just because you've seen so many times that the lesser dog wins because of who was on the other end of the leash. So championships to me started to lose their value. um, you couldn't trust if the dog really was of the quality that they say. You can't really go based on pictures, because pictures can be edited. We've had issues with that being done. Dogs have had flaws, if they had a sloping top line, if they had a bad tail set, things like that. The dog would be altered. They'd actually alter the picture. And if anyone's familiar with the breeding worlds, when you're breeding, you don't always get to see the stud dog because you're not going to choose all the time someone who's close enough to you for you to make that you know that distance. So when I had when I was selecting a stud for one of my girls, I was looking for someone who is like way out of state. I was looking for particular bloodlines that would just mesh really well with her bloodlines because she was my third generation. So I had gotten to see what was produced. So I went ahead and sought out a stud in Minnesota, and he's got his brother. I could have used his brother. He was in Texas, and he was a champion master hunter. He had other titles. He was siring puppies that were doing great on both sides. But I didn't really like his body type. Like he had inherited a type that wasn't really from his lineage. He was inheriting types that were kind of in the background. So this was what I mean about doing due diligence. When you're researching dogs, you have to make sure that you're really tying in these bloodlines where you're not going to be doubling up on an issue or doubling up on a fault that's going to rear its head. And that is exactly what was happening with his type. So I was like, okay, so there's something in the bloodlines on that on this particular side that I don't like. So I went with his brother, and I was looking at his brother, and his brother was the type I was looking for, and he was producing the type that I was looking for consistently. And I was ecstatic with. I actually used him twice, well, three times, but the first time didn't take, so I tried to get on another female, because I had just retired. I decided to retire the female that I had bred previously. She had only conceived one puppy and required a cesarean. The vet wouldn't listen to us that we needed to get her in, and by the time that they agreed to see her, it was too late. The puppy didn't survive. So we decided to retire her at that point. That was her third pregnancy, and I wasn't planning on having any other puppies from her. That was going to be her final litter, and I was going to retire her, let her just live out her life with us, and start on her daughter. Um, and that unfortunately didn't happen. So the said owner said, "Okay, well, how about we try again?" So I did. I tried again with her sister, and yeah, Hannah had a lovely litter of puppies. We got our Holly from her, and then the second female we bred was actually, because it was going to be mother and daughter, Bree and Dottie. So Dottie had the singleton. Bree actually ended up having 11 puppies. We did lose one at birth, but she had 10 beautiful babies. And that litter was just consistent, beautifully consistent. Um, I was just so amazed how lovely they were. And the weird thing is that not only was that litter consistent, but I could see the lines. So the reason that I had uh, bred the two is because there was different bloodlines involved. So I knew that they would produce very well with um, the second generation, which was be Hannah and Dottie. And then I added in my other stud dog because I bred Dottie to him for a litter of all black puppies. I ended up keeping one female, and she came back. Like, every generation had been excellent hips, normal elbows, everything. The consistently structural was just beautiful. It was just seamless, and I wanted to keep that going. But you know, life happens, um, and I ended up deciding to retire when I met my hubby because I knew that I couldn't. Well, I didn't think it would be fair with him. He wasn't really into the same thing I was, so I did give that up for love. Um, I do have dreams of starting again at one point, but if you look at um, the hobby now, it's really grown to a part where it's like I don't even know it anymore, you know. There's breeders that are bashing other breeders for no reason, just so they can get a leg up and sell more puppies, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like, why would you try to just squash someone's reputation just so you look better? You know, it's disgusting behavior. And it's the same thing with stud dogs. You know, if you have a prominent stud dog, and people will constantly try to compete with you, and um, I've just seen all of it, and I don't really care too much for that um, anymore. People kind of just tend to ruin things because of their own selfishness. You know, they take a beautiful thing, something that can bring people together, and they just they dim it because they make it all about them. They make it all about their ego. They make it all about their reputation, all about them. It's all about them, them, them. Not even their dogs, you know? They don't care about their dogs even, because their dogs are what gives them that ego trip, but they don't seem to think that. They think that they're the ones who do everything, when in fact, you know, it's not. It wasn't them. And then you have the ones who like to kind of ride on shirt tails. So it's a hobby that I enjoy because I love the interaction I get with people who like the puppy families. They're so excited to bring an addition, and being able to supply, you know, that happiness to people, like, and give them a good quality pup that's going to be around for so many years. And so far, the last I heard, every puppy that I've bred has made it past, um, the golden age for a Labrador. So I know longevity was there. I knew health was there. Like OFA stuff has been, consistent with, you know, OFA excellent and OFA good. I think I've only had one that was OFA fair. And that wasn't even based on her actual because she was injured as a puppy, and that was documented. So it was a documented injury that had happened, and that was noted when her OFAs were submitted, and she came back OFA fair. So I had a really good track record, and I was very proud of, what I was able to do. But most of it was just like I enjoyed. I just enjoyed it with my dogs. I enjoyed the company, the companionship, um, just the smiles and the laughs that I would get. You know, they were so goofy, and I could tell, you know, the moment they were born, who are they going to be like after? They're going to be more like their mom, their dad, their grandpa, their grandma. Um, and it's a really uncanny thing, you know. It's to be like, oh, you know, you look just like your grandma, and but you're acting so much like your grandpa. Just at like 2 days old, you know, you just know, you just feel, and I was always right. Yeah, it was uh it was so nice, and I miss them. Most of my babies are gone, so it's been that long. I um I do miss it. I miss having the the puppies running around. We did have an oops litter with our healer. My hubby, she had come in season when she was still too young to get spayed. So she had come in season, and I told him, you know, don't let her, around your dad's log, and don't want any oops litters with her. Um, we'll just, you know, keep them separated for a couple weeks. And that didn't happen. He did, let her into the same living area as his dog, and because he was like, oh, he doesn't know what he's gonna do. You know, he's never been around another, you know, a female before, and he won't know what to do. Um, and I was like, you know, it doesn't take very long, so just be careful. Don't just, you know, just listen to me. And he didn't listen to me. He did not listen to me. He put her upstairs, with she was running around with him, and lo and behold, it took a matter of seconds, and I was like, oh no. I was like, we're potentially gonna have puppies, you know, in 9 weeks. Just be prepared. And he was like, no, they weren't even together very long. She was in there literally just like for a minute, and I'm like, it doesn't take very long. And yep, she did. Uh, 9 weeks later, she had six beautiful little babies, and I was like, well, next time you're gonna listen to me. He was like, yeah. I didn't realize. I'm like, yeah. I mean, I used to breed dogs. I know the the what we have to do to make sure that we don't have oopsie litters. Everything was planned, and I don't like I don't like putting I don't like bringing puppies and cats into the world, knowing how messed up the world is right now. We have an overpopulation problem, um, and it isn't because of breeders. Well, not the good ones anyway. It is because we have owners who don't want to take responsibility for their pets, and then they don't want to take responsibility for those lives, you know. And then we have the breeders who just simply don't care. They just mass produce puppies and kitties like, it's an iPhone or something. And people treat them as disposable, because that's what they're marketed as, birthday presents, Christmas presents, just like you would market, a new phone, a toy. So it is it's not fair. It is not fair. Um, I have I have gone through. I always wanted to give back, so we always donated when we could, to the shelter. Food, cat food, dog food, litter. I donated to like Toys for Tots. I always tried to get involved with the community in some way. Never, never did, never did tell anybody what I did most of the time because I just didn't care. Um, but yeah, a lot of breeders tend to do the same thing. They tend to want to give back because they see the damage that's done with breeders who are breeding without any regard to the puppies they produce, without any regard to the breed in general, on what they're impacting. Because everybody who produces of that breed, they're impacting that breed's future. So anyway, I would donate, try to do my best, and got involved in rescue. And we had a couple of rescues come through. We always took back if there was any issue whatsoever with the placement of a puppy. We took the puppy back, and it didn't matter how old they were. There was one family. We didn't understand this at all, but there was. I'm gonna go on another casualty. Everyone's just like left it. I guess there's no reason to. So, this family had been really good. Like they kept up for the most part, and then all of a sudden they just kind of went quiet. But they trained their girl, um, really well. They trained her to get things out of the refrigerator. They trained her to play dead, and she was just a really sweetheart. So, fast forward, she was about 6 years old. We get a phone call from an animal shelter down in Utah, and they're like, "We have this dog. Her name's Gia, and um, her chip is registered to you, and she was an owner surrender, and we were letting you know, and we want to know what you want to do. Do you want to come claim her, or are you wanting us to take care of her?" And I don't trust the animal shelter system of older dogs being adopted, especially black dogs like labs. So I was like, no. We decided we made a 26-hour trip to go get her. So we always had that commitment. Like any of our pups that we bred, if anything should happen at any time, we want them back because we know that if we can't find a home for them, that we're going to be able to give that home to them, until one is found. So yeah, we took a trip, 26 hours, got her. It was in winter. Um, this was she was What was really heartbreaking is she was taken to the shelter on Christmas Eve. So we're thinking something had to have happened, something tragic had to have happened in his family because they were amazing, and they did all this training for her. They took very well care of her. So something tragic had to happen, and they must have lost our contact details because we never got anything from them. No email, no phone call. But our information was on the microchip because we microchip our puppies before they left, and we registered the microchip in our name. And of course, the owner is able to go in and re-register if they choose to. Some of them didn't. So I'm glad in this scenario that they didn't, because we were able to go get her, and she was with us for just a couple of months, and we were able to find a great home for her, to live out the rest of her life. She was just amazing. She fit into that family so well, and they enjoyed her. I'm just trying to figure out what to do. They enjoyed her company. Um, so it was a win-win. I'm gonna go up to, I guess, the Wavy Willards. Maybe there's some there. But yeah, it was fun. A lot of life lessons learned. We've had we had a puppy with a cleft palate before. It was one of Bella's. We bred her to our yellow lab Tough, and she had all yellows. She had 4 yellow babies, which was weird because she was black. So she had 4 yellows. She had 2 boys, 2 girls, and the last little boy was a smaller puppy. He was tiny, and we noticed that he wasn't breathing very well. And then um, we noticed that because we always check the palate, and a cleft palate. So we took him to the vet. We took him to the vet to have them look over and see if there's anything that we could do. Is this going to be something that's repairable? Like, is there any way that we can tube feed him? And so they said yes, it is potentially repairable. When he gets older, we just have to tube feed him until he's old enough to have surgery to repair the cleft palate. So we were on board with doing this, putting in the work for him. Unfortunately, he passed away a day later, just a day after seeing the vet, and the vet said it was most likely that he had something else that was not developed. So, breeding was a very hard lesson in life, because it lets you know that no matter how careful you are, something is going to happen where it's going to throw you for a loop. And it wasn't anything that was genetic, it was just how he was formed in the womb. And he had 3 much larger siblings. Um, and you know, he just didn't take. He wasn't um, he wasn't fully formed, so that was nobody's fault, but it still hits you hard. Oh, there you are. It still hits you hard because you're like, you look at the lives that you bring into the world, and you want each one to be healthy, and just grow up to be little bubbly puppies that can be placed in a home, that you're going to love. And I remember um, we decided to, because we had bred um, both the girls to the same stud, because we wanted to. Um, there you are. We wanted to add in type, so we knew that both of them would be a good fit. So Hannah had this was Hannah's second litter, and she had blacks and yellows. We kept the black from her litter, and then a black female from her litter, and then um, that's a camera, and then a yellow female from Bella's litter. And we found a co-owner home for them. A lady, it was in Michigan, it was another breeder. She actually had bred Bella's grandmother. So we were like, okay, we could go in here, and we did a co-ownership, and I just let her have, it would be just puppy for a puppy. So the agreement was that you don't have to pay for the pups. I just want one puppy from each in return. So it's just a one for one, 1-on-1, an even trade. Um, that way I could add in new bloodlines. And the call that I got from her, the girls had been, I guess they were 2 years old. Yeah, they were about 2 years old. I get a call from her saying that she needs to, quote unquote, get rid of the girls. And she says, you could either come get them or I'm just going to give them away. And I'm like, excuse me. Um, so I was like, I'm going to come get them. So we made the journey from Idaho to Michigan to go get them. We had to pay out of pocket to um, rent a car because we weren't going to take our own vehicle. So we rented a car, all the hotel rooms and stuff. So it was a really expensive lesson that I learned that even if it's a breeder who had been in the game for a while, and then the girls came back with no training, they were mostly cared for by somebody else. It was really a heartbreaking situation. They came back in good shape though. Um, you know, they were fed. They were just. Uh, it wasn't, and I